Hello, welcome to the first gathering of our Fresh Look series. And in case we haven't met, my name is Stephanie. I think I've met most of you or seen most of you. And I'm here with the amazing Kate Roberts and Bernie Kettle and Tom Maddox, who perhaps you also know. And this was the inspiration of the four of us. So I'll pause and see if one of my co-creators would like to speak about what the heck we're doing here at A Fresh Look. Is it you, Tom?
Sure.
You know it is.
And not just because I think I came up with the title. But I just love that idea because well, first of all, it's just nice to see everybody. Just take a second to look around the room, and some of us have been together before, and just nice to be here. And taking a fresh look is just something that, like, we all have so many ideas. We've heard so much from other people, and sometimes it's nice to just take a step back and take a fresh look at things. So I was wondering and starting if we just want to take a second, what is that for you? Like, what do those words mean for you? What is taking a fresh look at anything feel like? And just take a second to feel that. And if you want to raise your hand and share something, that'd be nice too. All right. Kyla.
I'll just share one word: possibility.
It's a potent word. And as I was contemplating that question, Tom, the first thing I noticed was that to answer the question of what it means to take a fresh look, I have to do it and see what it's like. And it seems like looking at something that maybe I've seen a million times before, but looking like I've never seen it before with curiosity. I see Noor has his hand up. Hi, Noor.
Hello. What came up for me was beginner's mind, the Zen beginner's mind, and also seeing through different eyes. Like, I asked myself the question recently, what would it be like to see through the eyes of faith? So yeah, just the idea of seeing through different eyes, whatever that might be, as a metaphor.
I mean, not literal new eyes.
Apparently you can buy those nowadays, but yeah.
And Nora, I was curious, does the word faith, does that have a feeling for you?
Great question, Tom. Yeah, it feels relaxed to me. I see faith as like kind of like, I don't want to say the opposite of anxiety, but I feel like where there is faith, there is no anxiety. Like true full faith. I feel like there's no scarcity, there's no anxiety. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Dennis.
I like that. Thank you, Noel.
Hello. Well, Stephanie already used my word, curiosity. And I think for me, so much has besides always having been a curious character, I've always been a character that's curious. And but it's always been with a lot of effort. So it's it's more like chasing something before, where now it's I'm not actively being curious about things as much as all of a suddenly, like a breeze that blows in front of your face, something turns you in a direction, and maybe your thinking holds out a carrot stick, and you go, "I'm gonna need to take a little closer look at that." It's a curiosity for me.
Well, I'm going to share a little bit. First of all, I love the word fresh, because something that's fresh, something it feels like, oh, it's new, and as someone said, full of possibility. And I'm more likely to be curious about it, just to bring in what other people have said. And not long ago, I came across this phrase. It's when everything is certain. No, sorry, when nothing is certain, everything is possible. And like, certainty comes when we're trying to stay in the known, whereas the unknown is fresh, it's new to us. And so I just love that opening up to freshness means, to me, opening up to possibility. And I like seeing how all the different ways our thinking can get in the way of us not seeing what's maybe right in front of our eyes and yet fresh and new. So yeah, for me, it's all of that. Rick, good to have you here. Welcome. Want to unmute yourself, Rick?
You'd think after all these years of being on Zoom, I'd get the mute button figured out, eh? Anyways, but one word that comes to mind is exploration. And while you were speaking, Bernie, the thought of expiry dates on freshness. So, you get something fresh, and then I have this habit of hanging on to this freshness until it's long past its expiry date. In other words, it's an old idea. Like so as soon as I bring it in, it's like it's already in the form, and it's losing some of its freshness. So it's always that exploration into more of that space of you were referring to, that darkness, the unknown, bringing in more of, when it comes to, I mean, I've got so many stale dated ideas and thoughts and beliefs that are really not serving me well, but for some reason they're still in the fridge, right? I don't know, but so yeah, freshness is about constantly sort of being that curious and exploring, and yeah.
Thank you, Rick.
And there was something in the description that we came up with for this invitation that went out, inviting you to join us here. And it was a beautiful invitation because it came from the things that the four of us had spoken. So it was truly co-created. And in the title was A Fresh Look, What's Possible Beyond Our Thinking. So a fresh look at life, but in particular, in the direction of before or beyond our thinking. And I was wondering if anyone has some sense of why that might be a fun direction to look in. So here we're taking a fresh look, but not just a fresh look, which sounds amazing, full of possibilities and curiosity and newness. It has a feeling to it, but beyond our thinking.
Yeah, I love that question. I love that we're doing fresh. I didn't know we were going to have fun too. That's
It's part of the package, baby.
yeah, fresh and fun.
Stephanie, can you repeat the question?
Basically, why would we want to do this? Why would we want to take a fresh look? Like, what makes it look like an interesting idea, or in particular, looking beyond or before our thinking? Because that's what we're kind of pointing to, right? Like Rick said, he's got all these stale thoughts hanging out in his fridge. He doesn't know why he's keeping them there. Me too, by the way. What makes it look like a good idea to look again? Melissa.
Because we're tired of looking at the same old shit.
Mhm.
Look, AKA thinking,
Yeah.
That's why I love these groups, because it always just gives me something new and fresh to consider.
What a great name for a program. Hmm.
Hi, Lucinda.
Hello. First time to this group. Thank you for inviting me. Yeah, pondering your question, what immediately came to mind actually was, well, one way that many of us seek a fresh look at things is by literally moving ourselves geographically to other places, in the form of travel. Certainly, this feels very relevant to me because I left my home country at quite a young age, went to a culture completely different from my own. And that was really fun and exciting. And I happened to land in a culture where, as a foreigner, you're likely to stay an outsider. But as time went on, I realized being an outsider is also to have a sort of feeling of detachment towards things. And that's something you should be able to conjure up, replicate really anywhere that you are, without moving anywhere at all. And that's precisely what looking afresh at life really, I suppose, is all about. So, yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Lucinda. Lovely to have you here. I mean, we don't have to pick up and move across the world to see something new. What do we do? Where are we looking? Fascinating. Dennis, you have the answer to all our questions, don't you?
I know Melissa said something about shit in there, so I think that was all the answer we needed. No, I wish I had the answer to all your questions. I could settle I could settle for myself, but I know I have something to say about everything, and I try to tailor it back as much as I can. The quick story. When I was much younger, I was a designer for packaging. And just some of the short packaging was protective packaging that would ship like the Taurus automobile windshields from Detroit, Michigan over to Japan. And then also satellite dish controls when they were first, when satellite dishes were first coming into being. And my section of the company, we did a lot of like really fancy shapes. I did fancy shapes. I created the fancy shapes and how things should fit together in the packaging. And I had been doing that probably for about 10 years, and we had folded computers into the process and all that. And it had dawned on me that I was feeling pretty saturated, pretty not enjoying the process anymore. And it had just occurred to me when I was sitting at my computer one day that maybe I had allowed myself to become too complex in the way I handled my thinking and my designs. And so knowing that one of our divisions in our factory, all they did is they made protective materials straight, just straight cuts, boards straight. And I said, what if I started thinking in a simple mode? Just always start planning the packaging, not from how cool I can design it, but how simply I could package it. And I found that really dropping back into more of a simple look at the whole thing gave me a fresh way to look at my entire job, my entire function in the job. And I had a really quick argument with the sales rep because he wanted to package something and he wanted it really cool, the packaging. And I said, I think I can save you some money. And I did straight work for him instead. Anyway, that kind of was what was occurring to me.
Nice. You know, recently, one of the things for me that I've been seeing with a little bit of awestruckness is from time to time, it just occurs to me, like just in a physical environment, like maybe where you are right now, like maybe you've sat there many times and many hours, and to just realize that like in any moment I can just look around. If I care, if I care to stop and look. And I just have this sense like I could never run out of things to see in this room. Now, granted, I'm in a different room than I was yesterday, much bigger room. But do you know what I'm saying? Like we see things just even in our physical environment all the time. And I don't know, it's kind of mysterious. It's almost like why did that even occur to me? You know, it's almost like this, taking a fresh look at something is something that almost like wakes up on a regular basis. And every so often I hear it and pay attention to it. And then actually even just like look around, it's like, wow, I haven't, look at that. And I've been looking at it, literally been looking at it for 3 months. And now I'm like, oh, look at that. So for me, like what we're talking about is a very natural like phenomenon that seems like it's built in to just the way it works. And so I'm wondering if anyone relates to that or hears anything in that. And Rick, you're nodding a little bit with that. What do you see?
It's what I heard. It's sort of like yeah, like you're spot on about and it is interesting because I've often like there's no shortage to the fountain of good ideas. Like the flow of creativity is always on. And I for the life of me I cannot figure out why I have so many ideas that are composting in my fridge. It's like, and every 2 weeks I get an opportunity of cleaning the fridge out, but I'm looking at it and it's sort of like it's like, oh, maybe there's there's still some life in here I'll just hang on to it. It's like you with the painter, like I know there's only a few drops left in this paint jar, but it might come in handy later on. Kind of forgetting that the store is always open, that and it's like we can always get something fresh that's probably more relevant to the moment
Yeah.
than resurrecting all this things that are composting. And so anyways, yeah, I forget that sometimes, a lot of times.
It strikes me, Rick, is maybe some of those things that seem like they're stale, maybe they really aren't, and maybe it's almost like a magical Disney type thing. Like if you just look at it in a certain way, you bring it back to life. Um, a funny story occurred to me. So I do a lot of like house sitting and have taken care of all kinds of animals, all kinds of things. And one time, this was a long time ago, I was taking care of these, I'm not sure what they were, some kind of crabs that were in like a aquarium that had sand, and they had like shells and everything. And I was taking care of them, and taking care of them just meant changing like a little sponge and filling it with water. And one day I came about and I saw this little creature, and I was like, oh no, it's like, I think it's dead. It's like drying up. I was like, oh no. And I was trying to like soak it with more water and everything to bring it back to life. And then it kind of didn't work. And then when the owners came back and I told them what happened and how bad I felt, they were like, no, that's the shell of the crab. It crawled under a new shell. So maybe even some things that look like they're composting or not fresh, they're actually you should check the produce drawer. There might be something in there that's still viable. But let's go to Naomi.
Well, one story that just popped into my head, Tom, when you were talking, is that if you keep oranges long enough, they'll turn to penicillin. So, I mean, that's how penicillin was discovered, because of some, I think it was oranges or some fruit or lemons, whatever. So it can still have life to it, in a different form. But two other images came to mind. One was the kind of a story about if you don't dust, and you really can't tell that your shelf is dusty until you move something. And when you lift something up, then you realize, oh my goodness, I really need to dust that. So it kind of goes back to, I think it was Lucinda who was talking about traveling and movement. That is that little bit of movement of one thing, one object will can stimulate other actions, which says, huh, I've been ignoring that shelf. I need to do something about it. The other first image that came to mind was a picture of a really nice red apple on a table in front of a mirror. And if you just looked into the mirror, what you saw was this really pretty apple. But if you looked at the other side of the apple, you saw that there was a bite out of it, and it was getting brown. And again, that goes kind of to movement, moving your mind, moving your thoughts, moving your body around to see, well, what's on the other side of that thought, apple, piece of furniture, country, whatever. So it goes to that curiosity and that possibility of maybe the opportunity to examine whatever it is a little more fully to see what else is there.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Naomi, and it kind of maybe opens up another thread or doorway we can go down if we want to. The idea of looking. Your story about the apple is an example of looking beyond. So that's a theme of another way of saying the same thing. And if we want, we can explore that a little bit too, if anyone wants to share, like what is it? You know, because we come up with these words, like what is it to feel like to consider looking beyond something that we already think about anything?
Kate, I see you're unmuted now. I would love to hear from you, beautiful one.
First of all, I just want to say hello to everybody and thanks for being here. Especially those like Divyesh, it's got to be so early where you are, so thank you.
Thanks, Kate.
I personally love this conversation. It's only really, I think, probably within the last couple of years that I got a sense of that I personally, like my personal mind, my intellect, Kate, can only really limit everything, anything that can happen in any given moment. Like that's really all I can do is limit it. So even when I think I'm thinking big, right? Beyond what I would normally think, it's still limited. It's still far less than what's possible. And I may have spoken to this at the retreat or our group in St. Pete, but I've been really inspired by someone named Aaron Turner. I don't know how much you guys know about Aaron and the three principles world, but he speaks to this in such a beautiful way. He would call it like maybe like a clean slate. He calls it a clean slate that's always available. That all we would have to do is request, ask for a clean slate. You know, some people call it coming back to the present moment. But if all I can do is limit what's possible, to come back to a fresh look at something, and I especially love this idea of like each time we get together, like a fresh look on different topics. Because most of the time, I don't know if we know what kind of thinking we've got on it. Like sometimes we don't even realize it. And so I really love this conversation and looking at different topics from that space of what's possible. So yeah, thanks.
Jason, I see your hand up. We'll ask you to unmute. Hi.
Hi, guys. So my thoughts go back to the first time I met you, Stephanie. People were scared. People were terrified. We were in the middle of a hurricane. And I found beauty in a hurricane. This storm that was raging, grace, and amazing parts of Mother Nature that we never get to see. And then there's the eye of the storm where we're outside walking around the hurricane. And it was just this fresh, new beginning. And it was also fresh new friendships. And it was a beautiful day to me. Even though people were scared, it was beautiful.
Mm. That's a really good thing, possibly to take a fresh look at. A fresh look at fear. A fresh look at what seems like it's making me afraid. Mm.
And I love in what Jason just said, because that feeling, like we can kind of say that as an idea, and I often probably do, that we can feel okay in the midst of anything, but even beauty in the middle of anything. And the way you said that was so like alive and fresh, because it can be an idea, but then it can really be like an experience. And that's just really, really good to know.
One of the reasons why I'm so glad we created this theme of fresh look at is, I mean, what the principle speaks to is like our experience is created through our thinking. And our thinking is so compelling. We forget, even when we know our experience is created by our thinking, we still forget. I mean, I know I do. And everyone I've spoken to who's been in this understanding for a while has said the same thing. And so when we look at something, we can start to see how much of it is made up of our thinking. Steph talked about fear. Like, no, fear is real. And certainly the experience of fear in our bodies is real. But it's created by our thinking. So that might be a great topic to look at in a future month. So, if topics come to you that you would like to explore, some of the ones we thought about are relationships or parenting, money. There's a big one. There's so many things we can look at, because I know when I first came to the principles, it took me a while to start to get it. What I noticed is some things just I lost my thinking about, but some things, no, this is an area where it's the thing, it's not my thinking about it, like money. And it took a while before that shifted. So just by taking a fresh look at what is before and beyond our thinking on a topic can just allow us to see, oh, it's our thinking that's creating that, and allows us to create to see new possibility and freedom in that. So if anyone has any topics they want to explore in a future month, please raise your hand or put it in the chat. This one we wanted to keep it more open to just see what occurs and just to get into the topic initially, but I'm excited to see what topics we explore in the future. Benji, did I say your name right?
No, the name is Bengt.
Oh, sorry. I'm on
it's-
my iPad. The T looked like an I.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, what I actually just noticed, because I was trying to get to this session, and I had kind of built this I wouldn't call it a house of cards, but one child had to sleep, then I had to pick up the other child, and then the next child had to sleep. And so I got here a few minutes late, a little bit stressed, but then I really noticed, I sat down here and I started listening, like how quick you can really go from one kind of state and of mind to another, where it's just I sat down and took a moment to relax, and just a beautiful feeling came up, and it's just so nice often to notice how quickly also your state of mind can change, that it, like, sometimes you forget that
that you think the state of mind you are in, that's like that's going to stay that way, but so often it can be just a little moment, and you are in a completely different feeling. Just something I just noticed.
And did you
Thank
do it? Did you do anything to make that happen, Ben? Do you know how it happened?
Well, I didn't really do a lot. Like I did consciously take a moment to just kind of close my eyes, kind of feel my body, because I for me it has been like in the beginning of this year, that's really when I kind of discovered like the three principles, like for real. Like I read the books for 10 years, but nothing really ever happened until really the start of this year. And then I got a really good feeling oftentimes. And then there was a kind of a period of stress, and then I don't know, must have been a month, 2 months ago. Like I shared on the German, like what is the 3PGC from they have a German counterpart, and I just shared in the Q&A for a couple of times. And so they asked me to speak at the conference in November, and so then I was like, I kind of got back to the three principles, and I thought about like what happened to me, and then kind of after the conference, this kind of good feeling, it came back so strong, like and that is so that I'm experiencing that a lot now, just like I don't know how to describe it, like a whole body tingling, warm, whatever. And that is so oftentimes, like I just said, like, and I have this one child there, this one child there. Then it's like oftentimes I'm in my head, but then when I just sat down and I relaxed here and I took a moment, that is like this feeling came back so strong, and so I did do a little bit of conscious relaxing, but the strength and well-being of this feeling, that is something that just comes.
Mm. That is super cool to see.
Actually, I wanted to say something about that. I feel like what you just said is exactly what we're talking about. These things that we don't realize that we have thinking on, like how long this feeling will last. And the thing is, we don't realize it until we're surprised. Like you were surprised that you dropped into a space so quickly. And when you're surprised, you realize, oh, I thought that was going to last longer than it did. And I love that space, because when we move beyond our thinking on any given subject, even if it's how long this feeling will last, that we don't even know we've got on it, it comes with this beautiful surprised feeling. And one thing, and I'll go back to Aaron Turner, because this was not my thought, but he said, I know if I'm surprised, I have limited what's possible, because I'm surprised. And I love that so much, because what you just said is exactly what this meeting, this group is going to explore. And sometimes we don't even know it. And I love that. So thank you for sharing that.
Kate, I love that you use that word. I love words, and the word, just even the word surprise, just feels really nice to me. And how available that is too. Like just out on a normal day, a walk or a drive or whatever, that element of hopefully, not a bad surprise or a dangerous surprise, that happens too. But surprise, like, is really to be in that space is really delightful. Like, wow, look at that. You know, that kind of feeling of surprise is really, I don't know, it's just really delightful. So does anyone else want to share something? Feel free to. I've been tempted to say all throughout, what would it be like if you raised your hand and you didn't have anything to say? Or if you started smiling and I saw you and called on you like Nancy. Surprise.
Maybe I could find the I could find the mute button, right? Yeah. I've just been playing with the notion, that all my thinking is like not to be paid attention to, and and that's kind of crazy. And yet, what I'm noticing is, just of even going on a holiday with a big family gathering, and it's actually not my family, so I don't have history with them. But it's just interesting to just notice, oh, I'm caught up in my thinking, and okay, and not to believe any of it. And so in that moment of just returning back to, taking a fresh look and just noticing, what's happening in the moment. And rather than kind of weaving more of an unconscious kind of story in my head about what's going on, to just noticing that, oh my gosh, this is what we do as humans. This is what I'm doing, is I'm thinking a lot and I get different feelings. And then if I just realize that I don't have to pay attention to any of that.
Mm.
And noticing too, just in a personal relationship, a close relationship, sometimes I'll start thinking that something is really an issue and I really need to bring it up, and this needs to be resolved, and I start thinking about how it needs to be resolved. And then I realize, oh my gosh, that's my thinking. What if I realized that I don't really need to pay any attention to any of that? It's personal thinking, and it's probably so old. The expiration date on it is way, way, maybe someday something good will come out of that thought, like penicillin. I don't know, but I just find it funny, to just realize that personal thinking is so incredibly limiting, and that being kind to myself, though, when I realize, oh my gosh, I've just been all caught up in my personal thinking. And I didn't think I had anything to say. So there you have it. Thanks.
Thank you, Nancy.
I see your hand up again, Banks.
Yeah, just something came up when Tom just talked, and he said like, well, what if I would were to ask you or call on you and you had nothing to say? And I just wrote in the chat like, it has never happened, and that reminded me. Actually, I talked to someone about that. It was actually someone who is also into the three principles, and I told her about that. For me, I don't know from what beliefs or from what raising up it comes. Like, I can have like an incredible trust into being always able to talk. Like, even in school, I used to sometimes. I remember I had like on Monday, my last 2 hours were history, and I was always almost falling asleep. So I just lay my head on the table, raised my hand, and basically went to sleep, because I had so much trust that when I was called on, I would know what to say. Like, that whatever, even if I was half asleep, and that has continued throughout my life. And when I talked through that to that other person, she asked me, well, why do you why do you think that is only when you have to talk? Why is that? Why do you limit that to like being able to speak? Why are there fears in other ways? And can you imagine the possibility that this kind of incredible trust, that whenever someone asks you a question, whenever you have to come up to speak, something will always come out of your mouth? Can you not imagine that also being possible in every other way, or in every other area of your life? And that has been something that has been on my mind. I have not been able to make it possible to trust life as much as I trust myself to have the right words. But it is something I have been like thinking about, because it seems so incredible that there is this area in my life where it seems like I have no fear, no doubt. And why is it that and how can I get that same confidence in other areas of my life? I think that should be possible.
Yeah. And you know, what I've seen about that, that if it looks that way, if you start taking a fresh look, if you look at that, you might find that there actually are some spaces in there that you already are trusting, even maybe just a little. If you look for it, you might find it. And I'm sure there's some there, you know. Um, see it where you do see it. And maybe that's enough.
Or ask for it as a topic for one of these calls in the future, and we can explore it then. I want to thank Jason, because he suggested 3 topics: insecurities, joy, and sadness. I don't know if it's one topic or 3 individual ones. I'm going to say it's 3. But yeah, those are some really awesome topics to explore. So we'll put them on the list for one of our future monthly meetings, and hopefully we'll get to them all. And if you have more, please, actually, in the chat would be great. Oh yes, now the chat's getting a little livelier. Melissa's suggesting habits. Oh, that'll be a nice juicy topic to explore. Taking a fresh look at habits, or our thinking before and beyond habits. Oh, death. There's another topic. Thank you, Rosanna. So good. This is great, because now we wanted to have a few topics that we could work with, for future meetings. So I keep taking a fresh look at Maxwell, because his camera shifts. So thank you, Max. Okay, Jason, thanks for clarifying. Joy and sadness, same topic. Different sides of the same coin, maybe.
The other thing is not necessarily a topic, but it's also what this group is all about. Like, this truly came out of Kate, Bernie, Steph, and I just enjoying being together, and wanting to get together in person. And then a retreat came out of it, and then a meeting came out of the pre-retreat. So there's something too about being together. There are many meetings and webinars and groups in the, not just in the 3 principles world, but in any world. And just the joy and possibility of what it is to be together with each other. It doesn't necessarily have to look the way it's always looked, or how it's looked up until now. There's so much possibility, and just the feeling of what I really hope personally for is that people come here and they really feel, in addition to everything else, a feeling of togetherness, that we're here for each other, and we're here to have fun together as well. So if that's something that you all want, just know that that's available and that you are creating that as much as anyone else in this togetherness. So
I want to read out the other topics just so that they're on the recording. Another topic suggested was children, finding feelings. There is nothing to do, question mark. What life is meant to be. And then Melissa had a great question. Not that it's a problem, but when the person you love is not under the influence of the principles. And it's funny because when I read that, what occurred to me is we're actually all under the influence of the principles all the time. Well, at least that's the way I'm looking at it. But when someone is not familiar with it, that would be a great topic to explore. And community of togetherness. Feel free to raise your hand and ask and share a topic you would like to be explored, or put it in the chat. Michaela.
Meaning. I've been pondering this morning. I heard it earlier about life really has absolutely no meaning. And then we give it one. And it's such a place of hope, of excitement, wonder, that we have this ability moment to moment to create something that feels cool instead of something that feels icky. So, yeah, like the poop I shared, even though I knew the picture was coming to me because he said, "Can I send you this picture?" Sure. And when I first saw it, it's like, oh, and then I remembered what it was. And it's like, I had to zoom out again, right? So it's like, it was a choice. It was just like how my eyes were and my mind was looking at it as to what I was experiencing. It's like, yeah, it really is all meaningless. So fun.
I think Noah had your hand raised next, and then we'll go to Melissa.
Hi. I I would be interested to look at something that I brought up in the retreat in Bradenton more, which is I'd like a fresh look at coming out of self-work. Something in me is very tired from working on myself for such a long time, and I want to break.
Wow, that sounds like a really rich topic, because my sense is a lot of people found the principles because it's another way of doing self-work. So yeah, I love that topic. Thank you. Melissa.
It seems I can't like listen to a podcast or anything without hearing, and I'm not really sure how to say it, but like exploring who is this I that I think, and again, I don't really know what to say about it, but like, who is this I that I keep identifying with? I don't have the answer. But yeah, it's just everywhere, it seems. And it's very interesting to me. And it seems like it could be really freeing. Not it's the answer, but I don't know, it's just worth looking at, I think.
Taking a fresh look at it. Yeah. That's great. Thank you, Melissa. So I noticed we're coming up on time, and I know some people have another call at the top of the hour. So I'd like to see if anyone has, in a few words, anything they'd like to share about anything they've seen new and fresh from our conversation today, or something they've been surprised by, or something they've noticed.
Go ahead, Tyson. You have something for us?
Yeah, I was just gonna say this call reminds me, especially at the beginning, that life is really just a playground. And it gets to be so much fun until we overthink it and try to control everything around us. So thank you for this call.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. And thanks everybody. And feel free to, we'll meet again next month. I was going to say, feel free to be in touch too. Is there a way for people to do that if they just want to write to us and say hi, or
Sure.
hi to an email, or come
Yeah.
come over for coffee, or
All the above, if you happen to be in the neighborhood. Yes. Yes, you're welcome to find any of us on the socials if we're connected by email. And we've used my email list, so you have my email address if you want to email me that way, or I can get you in contact with the others. And we will be back here, same time, same place, different day, the second Thursday of January. And we'll choose a topic and let you know, something to take a fresh look at, perhaps from this juicy list that you have helped us create today. Thank you, lovelies.
Thank you, everyone.
thanks everybody. See you next time.
I look
Thank
forward to
you.
taking a fresh look at you all next time.